What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Season 6 is the season we are currently in, and we are on race number 2 at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the last video, I'd recommend going and checking it out. It wasn't the finest race I've ever had, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, we actually ended up having a mechanical failure a few laps before the end, which was quite unfortunate. We were locked in a pretty tight battle with Pierre Gasly, who is now at Red Bull, over P6 after we had a slightly poor qualifying. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can bounce back. But fortunately, Saudi Arabia is one of my strongest circuits on the F1 calendar. It's a race I always go quite well at one way or another. It's very easy to defend on a track like this, I've found, due to the the sort of DRS chicken that you can play with your opponents. And not only that, but it's also an immensely fun, fast flowing track. So I'm a huge fan of the circuit, and I'm hoping that I can make it. I think this would be my 4th win in a row at this circuit if I were able to win. We won here in seasons 3, 4 and 5, so I'm hoping that yeah, we can make it 4 times lucky at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix this time. I believe it was Lando Norris that won the previous one, so yeah, he's starting how he means to continue in this season, I guess. He was pretty close to winning the championship, but it just slipped out of his grasp in the final few races of the season last season, and we were fortunate to be able to come and claim it. Practice has come and gone, and yeah, I felt pretty fast around here. You know, we were one of the fastest medium runners other than Leclerc in the Ferrari, but you know, I still think that we have enough pace to fight for pole position here at the very least. Albon top of the soft runners as well by quite some margin, which was very good to see. Maybe he'll be a contender for pole as well. And yeah, I think it could be an interesting battle in qualifying. We'll have to see who is able to come out on top of that one. But yeah, I need to have a good performance this time out, because we dropped a lot of points with that DNF in the final race. The previous race. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do if we want to get back into this championship fight. Lando Norris obviously leading it after one race, and we are currently, I think, like 21st or something like that. I think someone had a DNF before us in the Bahrain Grand Prix, but yeah, other than that, we're pretty much rock bottom. It's reminding me of season 1 being this far down. This never usually happens. So now we're out on track for the first run that I'm going to be doing on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, of course. And you can see that at the moment people are doing sort of 127s, 128s. I wonder what time it's going to be for me. Across the line, it's a 127.1, and I didn't think that was a particularly good lap, so I definitely think there's a bit more pace in the car that we can find on a future run. And indeed, we'll probably do another run in this session to ensure that we'll get through. That said, we were in P5 come the end of the session, so we didn't need to improve, but we did. We managed to improve by about 4 tenths or so. And yeah, we will be into the 126s. I don't know if it'll be good enough for the fastest lap of the session. It's a 126.7, and it's good enough in the end to put us P2. So there was one person that was faster than us, but you know, I'm sure we'll probably be able to fight with them come Q3 if we can make it there. And indeed, it was Alex Albon who was actually faster than us as well, so that's encouraging to see. Looks like we probably have the fastest car around this circuit at the moment, if that's to be believed. And actually the Red Bulls are the 2 closest cars to me at the moment. They had a bit of a disappointment in Bahrain. They were both eliminated in Q2. I don't think that the same thing is going to happen here. You know, it was the McLarens and the Ferraris that were taking the top spot in Bahrain, having the stronger race, and you know, it's looking like potentially it could be the Red Bulls and the Jaguars this time around to top the timesheets. We're now into Q2. We're on a used set of soft compound tyres, and I'm hoping for a bit of improvement over the last session. Obviously, we're doing a banker on the used softs. It's a 127.4, only 5 tenths off Gasly, and I definitely think that we can probably get ahead of him on a faster lap on a fresh set. So that's what we're going to be doing right now, and you can see that as we come around the final corner, we have improved by about 7 tenths or so. I went a little bit wide through that corner, but it didn't matter too much. We got better traction on the better tyres, improved by about 7.5 tenths, and as we cross the line, that's going to be a 126.7 again, and that was good enough again for P2. So yeah, a pretty consistent performance so far this qualifying. 2 126.7s, 2 second places. Albon P7 this time rather than P1, and it was Norris who was ahead of us. So yeah, meanwhile Ricciardo out. One thing I actually didn't realise until this session was that in Q1 both Mercedes were eliminated, which is kind of unbelievable to think about, really. Both Aston Martins, both Haas's making it through, and both Mercedes out. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise to see that. But yeah, Norris fastest in Q2, and we are only a matter of hundredths behind him at the moment. So I think if we find a little bit more improvement in Q3, I'm hoping that everything should be fine. We're now in Q3, of course. We're on a used set of softs once again, and I'm hoping that we can find that improvement that I was talking about. Maybe try and get below a 126.7. I think if we do that, we should be good enough to get ourselves into pole. Fastest time at the moment is Schumacher with a 127.1, not very representative. That was a 127.4 again on the used softs. So we'll see what kind of time we can do on a fresh set of softs on the final lap of the session. And at the moment you can see I'm all the way down in P9, but I am up by a second, and I was 8/10 faster than Leclerc through Sector 2. Although the final sector is probably my slowest sector compared to the AI. It is just a couple of corners, so it's hard to do too much better or worse than them through this portion of the circuit. Come around the final corner and you can see that we are just shy of 1.1 seconds up, so there should be about a 126.3, I reckon, something like that. We crossed the line, it is a 126.3, but was it good enough? Yes, it was. And that is my first pole position of the season, the first of many, I hope. And yeah, I'm really happy with that. Albon P3, not bad. Gasly impressing in the Red Bull in P2, his second stint in that team, proving to be a lot better than his first stint was so far. He had I think it was a P6 in the previous race, and now he's qualified P2, so I'm sure he'll be right up at the sharp end of the grid come race day. Meanwhile, the Ferraris and McLarens having a bit of an off day. Leclerc qualifying 7th, and then Norris and Sainz in 9th and 10th. Meanwhile, Schumacher's had a pretty good qualifying there in P6 as well. So yeah, a bit of a topsy-turvy grid, all things considered. But I am more than happy to walk away with a strong qualifying performance there. We're going to need to have a good race as well if we want to start overturning this rivalry that we have going against Leclerc. And yeah, I don't know. I guess with pole position, there's only really one thing that we can do from that, isn't there? And that's go on to try and win the race. Managed it 3 years in a row, and hopefully Albon will be able to have a strong performance as well to come through Pierre Gasly and hopefully make his way into P2 for that elusive 1-2 that we've had so few times in this career mode. I'm hoping that we can get a few more of those this season. Albon's a very strong driver, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do and also what I can do when we get into the race.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, with Pierre Gasly alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, and Mick Schumacher. Leclerc, Stroll, Norris, and Carlos Sainz. Magnussen, Schwartzman, Christian Lundgaard, and Ricciardo. Ocon, Latifi, Yuki Tsunoda, and Théo Pourchaire. Joe, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Enzo Fittipaldi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one. A bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
One thing that I find quite puzzling about this game is the fact that if you have a driver who has their team logo on the helmet, the team logo actually doesn't change depending on what team they're on. So for example, Kevin Magnussen is now at AlphaTauri and has a Haas logo on his helmet. Albon is at my team and he's got a Williams logo on his helmet. And there's a few others that kind of having similar things to that as well. So yeah, maybe something that they should address in future games. But anyway, we've completed the formation lap, warmed up the tyres to a suitable level, and I'm hoping we should be able to get a good enough getaway to not be challenged by Gasly or Albon into turn 1. But here we go now as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've got away pretty well. You can see Gasly did not have the best of starts there, and he's fallen away from me quite dramatically already. We'll see if Albon can maybe challenge him around the outside of turn 1. Actually, no. Looks like Albon didn't have a great start either, and he's coming under pressure from Max Verstappen. He's fallen off the podium. He's actually gone in the opposite direction to what I was hoping for, as Verstappen has made his way onto the podium into P3. And yeah, man. Meanwhile, we've managed to hold on to P1 as we come through Sector 1. And the car feeling very heavy at the moment with a lot of fuel on board. We've overfueled the car once again. Every time I mess around with it, it doesn't seem to go well. So I'm just seeing what I can do. Now we come to the end of the lap. We're onto the final sector now. You can see Gasly is very, very close behind me. And we will see if he is capable of making an overtake with the battery. No DRS until lap 3, of course. And it looks like he is going to try and go for a move here. Am I going to dive back up the inside? You know it. And we make our way back through into the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on lap 1. And so at the end of the lap, it will be myself from Gasly, from Verstappen, from Albon, from Leclerc, who's had a blinding start to make his way up to 5th from P7. And meanwhile, Schumacher looks like the biggest loser there down in P8. So yeah, disappointing start for him. We move on now to lap 3, and you can see that now the DRS has been enabled, I'm going to have to do a lot more to try and defend from these guys behind me. Gasly is going to make a clean overtake here with the DRS, but that will enable me to have the DRS going into the following lap, and it's kind of this DRS chicken I was talking about before. He chose to make the overtake cleanly on track rather than waiting to get the DRS on this next straight, which means I'm going to be able to fight right back at him. I'm going around the outside, and yeah, we're going to have to go quite deep into the corner, I imagine. But actually, no, we closed the door on him quite dramatically there. That could have gone much worse if he'd have been more committed to that move, but he wasn't, so it wasn't that bad. Lap 5, and I think he's going to go for a similar move again. You can see Verstappen has fallen off quite dramatically. I think he might have picked up some damage or something like that, not quite sure. We go very deep into the corner. That's going to allow Gasly through, unsurprisingly. Who has the DRS on this occasion? It's actually him and not me. So yeah, we're going to have a real task on our hands if we want to try and make our way back ahead of him now. We're burning all of our battery. We're in his slipstream. And we're actually thinking about going for a move there. He almost squeezes us into the barrier, but fortunately the track runs out of barrier before that, and we just scrape tyres a little bit, and I'm able to squeeze around his outside at turn 2. But he is going to have a go at me again into turn 4, I think that is. But fortunately we managed to hold on up the inside and keep hold of P1 for the time being. Bit scrappy racing between myself and Gasly right now as we scrape the walls as well. And now as we move on to the end of the lap, you can see that once again he is going to have the DRS. He's actually going up the inside this time. I moved to the outside. I know exactly what I'm doing, but what I didn't bank on was my teammate Alex Albon having a go as well. And he's actually going to try and go up the inside of Gasly here. So it's going to be a bit of a drag race here, and Gasly wins out around the outside. But maybe Albon can try and have a go on Gasly now. He picks the wrong direction, however, and he's going to have to stay behind for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, I'm making a double overtake on both of these guys round the outside at turn 1, and we're back into the lead after losing out at the previous corner. Move on now to lap 7, and yeah, it's going to be more of the same. You know, we saw this in Season 2, if you were following the channel all the way back then. We had a very similar race where George Russell was hounding us all race long, trying to get through, and he just couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, he could not make his way through on me, and subsequently I came home to finish P4 in that race in a very uncompetitive car. So yeah, we go around the outside of Gasly once again, and make our way back into the lead of the race. And like I said, this is what I meant by this track is really easy to defend on. You just give up the DRS at one corner, and then you get the DRS for the next corner, and subsequently you you can easily come home to finish in whatever position you started, as long as you're not being hounded by too many cars behind. When Gasly and Albon were challenging me, it was getting a bit tricky. Now you can see I'm kind of weaving a little bit. That did feel a bit dirty when I did it, but beggars can't be choosers, and beggars really can't be choosers, because it seems that we have an issue again. If this is another DNF, I'm going to lose my marbles, because we had one in the previous race, so to immediately come into another race and suffer a mechanical failure again would be just absolutely unbelievable. Gasly challenges us into turn 1 there again, but we managed to hold on for now. I don't know if it's going to matter necessarily, though. All that this is good for is protecting our engine components. It is in fact a mechanical failure once again, MGUH failure on this occasion, and yeah, that, like I said, the only thing this is good for is that our gearbox is only at 20% at the moment, which means we might actually, at this rate, be able to make it to the end of a season with only 4 gearboxes for a change. But of course, any one of them could fail at some point during the season. It really is a failure Olympics at the moment. It was Control Electronics last race, MGUH on this occasion, and we are out for the 2nd time in a row in Season 6, and that surely will plant us firmly at the bottom of the championship after the first 2 races. The thing I have to remember at times like this is that this is pretty much exactly how Max Verstappen started the 2022 season in real life, and I think we all know what happened in that one. He ended up winning it with about 5 races to go. So as long as I just dominate the rest of the championship after this poor spell of reliability, it will be absolutely fine.
As we wrap up yet another incredible Grand Prix weekend. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
Well, any disappointment I had was thusly short-lived, as I get to witness the team's very own Albon pick up his first win in Formula 1 in, an 8-year career at this point. So very impressive from him to come home, to take the win, get ahead of Pierre Gasly in the end, and pick up his first win of the season, and the first of many, I hope. Yeah, brilliant drive from Alex Albon to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix here, and hopefully he'll be able to do it again in a few races' time.
Have a look then at the driver's standings. Well, that lead at the top has somewhat shrunk today. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
But there's no question in my mind, it has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement
of Formula 1. Yeah, sorry, I cut him off slightly early on that one. Yeah, anyway, so Albon moves to 3rd in the championship with a very strong result there, especially after picking up no points in the previous race. He's done quite well to get himself into 3rd, only 11 points off of Norris, and if he has a good time in Australia, then who knows, maybe we could be looking at Albon leading the championship. It certainly won't be me, that's for sure, but I do need to have some very good results, and now more than ever, I need to have some strong results at circuits which typically don't go very well for me as well. I've lost out on 2 of my strongest tracks due to mechanical failures. I know we weren't doing that well in Bahrain anyway, but yeah, we're going to need a real uptick in fortune if we want to have any chance of winning this championship. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. Next up is going to be the Australian GP. It's back on the calendar, and yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next one.